All right, guys, this next guest is a monster behind the scenes in the music business. Odds are he's worked with some of your favorite artists. You guys loved or hated him from the last interview for eating a sandwich during the interview. He got pizza this time, okay? I'm talking about the one and only almighty M80.
Hey, everybody. How goes it? All right.
Yo, I accidentally pushed the wrong button. Sorry. Here's the claps. There you go.
Huh.
That was a warning sign. You know what I mean? The horns had to go off to let the people know you about to go off. So what's good with you, M80?
Hey, I'm here. I really appreciated our last interview, the part one, and I'm sorry I had to cut it short, though it did feel like the longest interview I've ever done in my life.
No way.
But I'm here because I know there was still questions to be asked and answered, and probably more in light of, all the feedback from all your posts.
Right. All right. Well, I want to ask you something that is like relevant to current situations because I think people will find your brutal honesty and perspective very entertaining. Okay. One of the biggest news recently is Diddy's trial. He was found not guilty of the more serious charges like the RICO and trafficking. What are your thoughts about that situation?
I mean, everyone thought it was very interesting that it was like a one-man RICO case. RICO, by its nature, is like a group of conspirators. So charging one person, and that already lets you know it's weak in nature. A lot of people ask me what I thought about all the different charges and claims and so on and so forth. I've never personally met P. Diddy. I've been in the same room with him a couple times. We've never met. I was like in the friends and family section at the Bad Boy Family Reunion in Brooklyn, but still like didn't meet the guy kind of shit. Never been to P. Diddy's house, never been to a P. Diddy party. But, we're not going to take away from the fact he's one of the greatest record executives of all time.
Right. You can't take away what he's contributed to hip hop, right? I don't like when people do that, where it's like, okay, you might not like them personally or something they did was controversial, but that doesn't mean that they didn't impact the art form itself.
Exactly. They say that you should never meet your heroes. It's only going to be like let you down. And that's how it is, when I met the majority of the rappers I've worked with over the course of my career. But I don't let it affect the fact that I still love their music.
Right. I think that the whole trial seemed disappointing. Like it seemed so hyped up that we were going to find out all these crazy, salacious things. Like it was like they got so much dirt on him, but then like you watch it, I mean, or at least you read like all of the statements that were made during it, and you were like, it seemed like the feds kind of dropped the ball on this from, the way that was built up.
Yeah. I mean, I felt the same thing about the Young Thug RICO case, which by its nature was an actual RICO case with multiple defendants. But the target was clearly Young Thug and the top ranking, whatever the hell the YSL or something like that, those top dudes. And everyone walked. Everyone that was like that mattered walked.
What do you think of, because Scott Storch did an interview recently, right? And he said that he thinks that this was more of an attack because once you start to go after large corporations like alcohol, oil, then you have some problems. Because if you notice that his Diddy's lawsuit against Ciroc and everything, after that happened, all these problems came.
Yeah. It applies for high-ranking celebs as it applies for high-ranking government officials. It's always something to cover something up to detract you from, remembering. Like a couple examples that were very prominent in my lifetime. There was a senator named Gary Condit who there was his missing intern, and it was in the news every day. Then 9/11 happened, and you never heard about it again. Trayvon Martin and many other young black people were being murdered by police and things of that nature. Out of nowhere, Ebola is back. And then we stopped talking about like Black Lives Matter and all these like, salacious killings of innocent black men and women. once P. Diddy settled that lawsuit with Kathy, that was immediate. It was in like 24 hours. That literally just opened the door for all these people to be like, okay, he doesn't want the smoke. Let's fucking everyone attack at once.
Right.
And you forgot about all the things that he was presently doing in his lifetime, for better or worse.
You know, it's also crazy because like a lot of these business like deals and stuff, there's like a clause, right? Like they can drop you if you do something that's like really crazy. It's kind of like the Kanye thing with
Sure.
like Gap and you know, and how he spoke on protected group. The you know, YouTube's a little sensitive, so I can't say it, but you know what I mean though. And it's like once you violate that clause, or you know, they can just like push you out.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of contracts. And it doesn't even have to be high level business. You can write a contract however you want with whatever terms you want, as long as you have a meeting of the minds with the other person signing it. Then these are the guidelines. These are the express written terms, and anything like that is considered a material term. So if you breach a material term, the contract's automatically like void.
Right. Do you think that Trump is going to pardon him?
No.
You don't think so? Because they
Yeah.
released
But
like some information.
I also don't know what kind of time he's going to face. I think they might, whatever he was found guilty of, they might consider it time served, and you know, then he probably won't give a fuck about what's on his record or not.
It's a maximum of 10 years or something like that per prostitution charge, right? And he got 2 of them. So I don't know. They're thinking like he's probably going to do like a couple years, but I can see Trump pardoning him though, and they're saying
But again,
that
if it's only a couple of years, then they could render it time served. Because remember, 2 years is really one.
right.
Whether it's feds or state, like so if you get sentenced to 2 years, you serve one or a fraction of one, and then the rest is converted to like a probation or a house arrest or some kind of commuted sentence like that.
Yeah. I mean,
So he could end up serving no additional time after like his dates in holding.
he's been in there for almost a year.
Yeah.
Right. You got a 40?
No, this is Hennessy Pure White.
Oh, right.
It's very hard to come by this in America, but when you can, I recommend buying it.
Is it true that Canibus got beat up at his album release party and left in serious condition by Blinky Blink?
What year was it?
It was the I think 2000 BC album.
I wouldn't know. That was before me.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I can only tell you about cannabis related things that were 2007 to 2024.
Because Jadakiss spoke about it recently on the Joe and Jada podcast. Did you see that clip?
No, I've never watched a podcast episode about that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Canibus, I guess, dissed Blinky Blink on I'll Bust 'Em, You Punish 'Em. And then Cameron also spoke about the situation on the Diplomat song, Take 'Em to Church, where he says, screaming out Harlem like you ain't just abandoned us. Well, let me fill you in now. It's a whole clan of us. Blink's so mad he went and beat up Canibus.
I've heard stories. I never knew it was the Blinky Blink guy. I've heard stories about Canibus and J. Rue the Damager that were from early on, probably pre-2000 BC, where they had smoke. But that was it.
Like just like talking shit back and forth, or like a full-on fight?
Fights.
Wow.
Yeah, like they'd be in the same, in New York, you're often in the same spot. You run the similar circles.
Did you hear if Canibus won?
I didn't, but I remember J-Rue and Apu Ra and Canibus. I mean, they're all fucking tough motherfuckers.
Right.
Canibus, as crazy as he is, still like maintains his kind of army military, physique.
Yeah, his whole thing about running in sand. You know what I mean? Like that takes a lot of strength and conditioning. That's not easy.
Yeah.
Not
at all.
Yeah. Do you know about what happened with him in the military? Like why he didn't stay in the military?
I think he was dishonorably discharged for smoking cannabis.
Wow.
I think that was, it doesn't get any deeper than that. I'm pretty sure that was it.
But what made him want to even like leave his career and go join the military of all things?
And assume the same reason why he'd rather work a 9 to 5 than be Canibus the rapper. It's just like you come at a point where the fans only see the music. They don't see any of this behind the scenes, like how it attacks your mental and how it weighs on your life. Like I was with Canibus one time. We were in a Little Caesars. We're picking up pizza, and this guy's like, he's picking up a pizza too, and he's like, "Are you Canibus?" And Biss was like, "No, I get that all the time." And I'm like, I'm shaking my head like, bro, like how often do you honestly get recognized? This was in like 2014. I could see how that would weigh on you heavily, like in your prime in the late 90s and early 2000s. But like, you only have a certain amount of fans. Like, I don't know why you would lie to this guy. So shit, that's just like little shit, but there's so much more that the fans never see that goes into the psyche of these artists. And, I'm sure Biss just wanted to get away from the rap life. And he probably figured being in the service was the furthest thing away from, the grind of being a rap artist.
So prior to me asking you about him and the fight with Blinky Blink, did you ever hear anything similar to that?
The closest thing was that the shit with J. Rue the Damager. And I thought in those stories I heard about that Biss had beat up J. Rue.
Got you. Okay. Did you grow up a wrestling fan?
When I was a kid, not like a lifetime diehard like your West Side Guns and them, but I had the battle buddies, the little like wrestling stuffed animals and the plushes, and I had the video games on Nintendo and Sega and stuff, and I probably watched wrestling until I was like 10, 11 years old. I went to my first live wrestling event 2 years ago, and I did honestly feel like I missed out on a good like portion of my life. I was thoroughly entertained.
Wow. Okay. So Hulk Hogan died recently, and there was a debate because when he was alive, he had made some racist comments against black people. Michael Rappaport recently chimed in and said, what we not gonna do is talk badly about him and some controversial things he did outside of the ring. But then he walked it back and said he didn't know he said racial stuff. What do you personally feel about that
That's complete
situation?
bullshit. Like, why would you even feel like giving such a disclaimer if you didn't already know that existed?
That's what I kind of thought too, because also Michael Rappaport's like really tapped into like he is like stays on news. So that kind of like seemed crazy to me. I know it happened back in 2012, but like, come on, bro. Like, how could you not hear about that? Like I'm pretty sure everybody heard about that.
Yeah. I had a conversation with someone that like you just said, Michael Rappaport, he's intelligent. He's in the know. He's in the mix. He's objective. I had a conversation with someone recently where we were talking about Chino XL, and they completely shocked me with what they were saying to me, like, you're a foul motherfucker and like all the shit you put the family through. And it let me know instantly, like as much like candor and respect as I've given you throughout the years, like you're obviously one-sided biased party, and all the shit you're saying, it's like you haven't even like been in the know. So for Michael Rappaport, yeah, it's complete horseshit. Like you're in the know, you're part of the culture, and that's how I felt with this Chino situation. But the past year has allowed me to grow, and like I said in the interview with the company man, it's like whether like right or wrong, there's no win in what I'm doing here. Yes, ultimately the world got to see that what I did was right, but does it give me any cool points? Do I feel like a better human being, or did I just do what I thought was best for the members of the family I care about?
When you see something like, Hulk Hogan saying racial stuff on that level in a private conversation, do you think that these things should be held against people for a long time? Or is there a, statute of limitations? Like it should be forgiven?
Well, the thing is, times have changed. If this was pre-internet, it would never die. Something like that would be talked about for as long as that person was alive, and then thereafter. The internet has given everyone a newfound sense of ADHD. So it's like even the worst news, like Nicki Minaj marries a fucking like or pedophile, fucking whatever the fuck, like
Right.
he's a registered sex offender. That was news for like 48 hours and never talked about again. All this crazy news, like people even forgot P. Diddy was locked up. It's like Okay, they talk about it, they don't talk about it. Once you stop talking about the shit, then it's like moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
For those who follow my page, I haven't had any people on, the other side of the Chino equation like disrespect me in recent months, and my online persona seems more peaceful. Right? I'm getting more work done. We got new Rakim, we got new Wu-Tang Clan, we got a Wu-Tang tour, we got new Corrupt coming, we got shit with Master Killer and Method Man and Snoop. Like, look how fucking people get to go back and be like, oh, okay, I see why people fuck with M80. He's a fucking workhorse. It's made my life easier, but it's like, that's what it is. If this was pre-internet shit, anytime someone would see me, they'd want to like throw hands or whatever or bring up the bullshit. But the internet, and there's so much going on and there's so many lives that we move on and digest news at a more rapid pace, just like you digest music. With the exception of your favorite albums each year, like your top 5 albums. Everything else you listen to, you digest it and you don't give a fuck about it 2-3 days later. And that's crazy to think about when artists end up spending like years crafting this art for you to appreciate. And we like are really here today, gone tomorrow with it.
Yeah, it's like really concentrated. I feel like it's like the whole viral thing, right? Where it's like it goes viral for that like 2 days or whatever, and then it just trickles off. It's like you might receive so much shit during that time and it just seems like real crazy, but eventually another story will come out and people will be on to that then.
Yep. So, my point is there's only going to be a small niche of people talking about the racist part of Hulk Hogan's livelihood. And the majority are either racist themselves or don't give a fuck because they just want to remember him for the wrestling icon he was. I'm someone who gives a fuck. I'm not posting rest in peace Hulk Hogan.
Are you like one of those people that can separate somebody from their art?
Yeah, I can, but I just in terms of like racism or like sexual deviance, that trumps everything to me. I keep a very tight knit circle, and I got to vouch for all my people as they need to vouch for me at any given time. I personally couldn't allow that, and I would hope that the people closest to me would also not allow that.
Because it's crazy. Like his daughter took herself out of the will. She said that she didn't want anything to do with getting any of his money or anything like that. Like they didn't talk before he died.
Mm-hmm. Good for her. And she started working a real job.
Oh, for real? I always wondered what happened to her.
She became a waitress and did interviews. Like people would be like, "Aren't you Hulk Hogan's daughter? Like, what are you doing?" And interesting that we bring this up because like Canibus, her response was, "I just wanted to experience what like a normal life would be." So let's assume that Canibus's motive was maybe being in service will get me close to just being a normal guy. I'll feel like I'm part of something bigger than just myself, bigger than the rap world. And I'm sure for the offspring of famous people, especially like uber famous people, like look at the Osborne children, like Kelly and Jack Osborne. It really doesn't matter what any of them do with their lives; they're always going to be Ozzy Osbourne's kids.
Right.
That's what it is. So, is Hulk Hogan's daughter ever going to do anything with her life where they'd be like, "Oh my God, like you're your own individual"? The answer is no. So go live whatever makes you happy. That being a waitress is like the most closest you can get to peace and normalcy. So be it. I got no qualms with that. Like with Canibus, I never give a fuck that he wanted to be like an HVAC technician. If that's what you want to do, my qualm the whole time was you still taking money from motherfuckers that wanted to see you rap and then just yap that. Like if you don't want to rap anymore, then don't. Or if you're going to rap like from time to time and get paid to do it, then deliver the good.
For sure.
So that's it. People had a hard time understanding that. Like, I don't give a fuck what you want to do with your life, like, regardless of what I feel is best for you. But don't become a piece of shit in the process.
So after our last interview, you went to a medium, aka a person that is more in tune with the spirit world, and you said you were able to speak with Chino. Can you talk about that experience and what was said? It seemed really emotional from watching the video.
I did an interview with another company yesterday and talked about it and like started to tear up talking about it because I had never been to a medium before, never considered going. It was recommended to me. The woman was highly recommended. And, you know, they like interview you up front to know like who are you trying to summon? Tell me some background. So I get there, you know, I tell her I want to speak to my friend Chi. When I sit down and Chino doesn't come like in the room. It's my grandma. It was my mom's mom, and Chino loved my mom's mom. Chino like made a post wishing me a happy birthday one time and saying like, you know, Matt's grandma is my favorite person in the world, and um, so my grandma came to talk to me first, and that of course had my emotions running wild. Then my grandma brought Chi into the room, like they were together. Um, Made reference to like other people that were very like prominent in my lifetime that have passed that, you know, everyone's proud of me and good. But the shit that hit me the hardest was, you know, like saying like, don't stop what you're doing. I understand that it's gruesome. I understand that it's ugly. And like, you know, people are really dragging you and running you through the ringer, but like you are doing everything I'd want you to do. Um, I couldn't have asked for a better person to like hold it down for my family. Like, there's people I thought were always going to be there for me and would be there for my family and time of my demise that have been dead fucking silent. So you do whatever the fuck you have to do. And that's why I mean, there was a time where the medium told me to turn the camera off because it just got like, you know, it was kind of like Chino and I were mirroring each other. Like, I don't want to, you know, I don't feel like bashing anyone right now, but just like, just keep doing what the fuck you're doing. You know, I heard that the family announced an album. When I say family, the Steina side that operates the Chino XL Instagram, that they announced an album on the 1 year anniversary of his passing. Do you know about this?
No.
Okay, I haven't seen it either because, you know, I'm blocked and I've just been staying away from all that shit. But someone told me that they announced an album called like Requiem for a King. And I can tell you that that's not something we were working on. Like Darkness in Our Colors is a real thing. The Madlib and Oh No record is a real thing. The you know, Map of Bones was a previously recorded album, unreleased album. The Canibus Chino album, the real thing. The God's Carpenter 2 is a real thing. So, you know, I when I was at the memoriam the other day with like Bella and Lyric and their moms and other friends and stuff, I've only ever wanted to get out the material that she left for the world as he left it. I didn't touch anything. We didn't edit shit. You know, this is how he left it, with the exception of us having to change the sample on Sailing from the Map of Bones record because Dinah tried to have us sued. And I'm like, dude, I'm not spending another fucking dollar after everything I've done. Especially when the profits are for the girls. I'm like, if I have to spend 10 grand to clear a sample, that's 10 grand less than the girls get for the album sales. So I'm not doing it. We'll just change the beat out. Fuck it. But we weren't working on an album called Requiem for a King. So I know this is like a 50 Cent executive produced Pop Smoke album where you're just putting features to fill in blanks of shit. And I'm really intrigued to see what Chino verses they're using because I mean, if there's, I'll be dead honest. If there's a single one of the verses on there that I own, I'm shutting that shit down. I know that people are going to be having that common complaint. Like, and it's just because when people like Stu Bangers wrote, like, hey, I need my sessions for these songs or I want my money back, they were like, fuck you, we're giving you nothing. When Art Geschwind, who owned the rights to the Canibus Kino album, asked for the sessions or his money back, they gave him nothing. So it's like, I'm afraid that they're just going through the hard drive and picking verses they want with no considerations to actually who owns what. Because remember, like we discussed in the first part of this interview, they're like, well, the law is that in his passing, we own it all, which is not the law at all. So I'm really praying that they used verses from Chino that are actually theirs to use and can make some money for themselves. Like, great, give the world a good record. But I'm not interested in making any, you know, records that weren't part of our life plan when he was here.
Posthumous albums are always really controversial. It's kind of like the Tupac effect, right? Where there was a lot of decisions that were made. Fans felt like Tupac would never do that. Like he would never have agreed to this. And in a way, it kind of taints the person's legacy, because then like the art piece is like being judged as if it was put out the way they intended, and it wasn't, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's always a difficult thing to do. But on the fan side, they're like, oh, we want more music. But it's like, it's kind of hard.
Someone said to me, they're like, was the Ascension that, we put out this 3-disc Ascension pack, and disc 1 was called Ascension. Disc 2 was Map of Bones, and disc 3 was Darkness Our Colors. For people, we did that because, a lot of people didn't buy Darkness. It didn't matter that I do interviews and say Chino said this was his best, most personal body of work. Lots of people bought Map of Bones. In fact, all the CDs sold out. There's still vinyls left, and I believe some cassette tapes. So what I did with Ascension, and it has an insert in the case with like 4 or 5 of albums and EPs that Chino was actually working on in his lifetime. So the Ascension pack is I licensed 7 songs from 7 different rights holders to basically show you, here's examples of the music he was working on from these various projects.
So take it back to the Medium, right? Prior to you going to see the Medium, did you believe in that kind of stuff, or were you like doubtful that that was a real thing?
No, I believe in it because for years when Chino was alive, I saw a psychic, and it was a wild, wild experience for me because literally like over the course of 2 years, I probably went like 30 sometimes. The woman met me and charged me for the initial meeting and never charged me again.
Wow. So
I went for 2 years, and she was just like, I have this bond with you. There was a couple times where she's like, I want you to purchase like this kind of plant to put in this temple, or I want you to purchase this stone to assist you in like your aura. Well, literally for years, it was just like everything she said was going to happen. Like, you're going to encounter this lawsuit, or you're going to experience this loss. You're going to experience this certain career highs, and would be very specific about it. All these things happened.
That's crazy, man.
So when the Medium was recommended, I was totally like, okay, I'm with it.
Did you feel drained after that session?
Oh, dude, I bawled my eyes out for 45 minutes. So I went and got a bite to eat with a friend afterwards and went home, and I think I passed out for the night.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'm pretty sure you slept good.
Yeah.
What did you think of the feedback that you received for the last interview?
The majority of it was positive. But, everyone is going to come from their own perspective and own thoughts and feelings about me. And anyone, I responded to a lot of the negative comments.
You had fun. I could tell you were having fun, though.
Dude, I'm like, as busy as I am, I'm never too busy to like talk shit back to anyone. There's a lot of people that I've never met that had my back, and even if they've never met me, just appreciated my contributions to the culture. And then there was people like just talking shit for the sake of shit talking. I remember there was some guy that was like, M80 is the worst thing that ever happened to Canibus. And then they'd be like, have you ever interacted with M80 or met him or Canibus? And be like, no, but so it's like, your opinions are irrelevant. Like Canibus or Kill Priest would tell you they made more money and had more opportunities in their career with me than when they were with Universal or when they were with Geffen. The interesting is me and Priest became friends again after the interview, but then he saw the interview and then stopped talking to me again.
It's kind of crazy because I was supposed to interview him before I ever spoke to you and thought about interviewing you. And then it didn't happen. And then next thing you know, I had reached back out after our interview, and I was told he does not want to talk about M80 at all. And I was like, well, we don't have to talk about that situation. But then he never it never happened again. Like, so I think that he definitely felt a way about it.
Dude, I don't understand why he would be upset about the story. It's not like It's not like I said we got in a fucking fight and I whooped his ass. I luckily won the fight by breaking his finger.
Well, you put out that video though too, that old video of you guys together joking about the situation too.
Yes, but he's mad that more people are going to be in the know about the fact this happened. And then like the Maze overlay guy, he was like, "Oh, Priest did X, Y, and Z to you." He was not even in the room. The people in the room at the time were me, Priest, and AD. So like, I wrote Priest. I'm like, you being upset about this is fucking retarded. Like, whatever. Be mad at me again, sure. And then other members of Wu-Tang are very pissed off about the book coming out. And like, some are like, I'd never work with you again. Others don't give a fuck. And to the ones that don't want to work with me, we don't have to work. Like, there's never going to be a lack of clients for me. I'll be fine.
Wait, we talking about the real Wu-Tang members, or are we talking about the affiliates?
Real Wu-Tang members.
Wow, okay.
Like one of the ones who said that to me is in the book only in a positive light, but still like, we don't like what you said in the Panda Chop interview regarding Priest. And I'm like, oh, if you don't like what I said in the interview, then you're really not going to like what the fucking chapter's about. Like you're mad that I said we got in a fight and I miraculously won. Like that's what you're upset about. Well, I'll let you know when the book drops.
Wow.
So to each his own. Like one of them said I was gonna do an album with a member of Wu-Tang Clan that said they were not interested in working with me further on the project, and I'm like, okay, all right, move on to the next.
That stuff doesn't bother you, like for you to kind of like dim your light or like be less of who you really are to kind of like have opportunities. Like you rather be yourself, and if you fuck with me, you fuck with me for who I really am, basically, and my truth. Like I'm always going to be vocal.
Like for instance, not to keep going back to Priest, but when you read the chapter, you're going to understand like how crazy it is that we could ever have a fault. I can detail the times I've like saved your life. I can literally detail a time where I saved your son's life. And I'm not just talking like in some metaphorical way. Like, if the tables were turned and anyone had ever done that for like a loved one of mine or my daughter or blah, 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 like, best believe I'm keeping you in my good graces for a lifetime. But not everyone's the same. So, like, I got to accept Priest for who he is and who he's always been. And, Priest, like most, is a user until you're used up. The craziest thing with me is, like, anyone that can ever look at me and feel like they've used me up and no longer have purpose for me, they don't understand their own life purpose. Because my whole function is bringing greatness to the table.
So you can't say which Wu-Tang members were mad, right?
Nah.
Okay. All right.
It's just like, I'd be more upset about it if it was like, if it felt more real to me. But saying we're not going to work on an album we hadn't even started, we just talked about doing, it's like, okay.
But weren't you just
and
at
I never even
the
told
concert
the world
with
we were
them?
going to do it, so it's really like no harm, no foul.
I just saw you at the concert with them not too long ago.
Oh no, that's the thing. I still go to the shit, but I'm not going in the room with like someone that hates me. Everyone has their own dressing rooms and shit. I'm not like, I'll hang out with who I want to hang out with and, do what I got to do and then go do my own thing.
All right. So one of the biggest backlashes from the last interview came from your man, DJ G.I. Joe. Okay. He made a 14-minute video going off on you. He criticized you faking a visit with the medium. He said and I didn't realize this at first too, that he was commenting on all the interview clips too.
Oh yeah, he was getting active.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that. But the video that he made about you, he put it on unlisted, right? I only found it again because I went to go look for it because I wanted to remember what he said, but then I couldn't find it. Then I went to our inbox and I saw you had sent it to me and I sent it to you or whatever, and it was still there. So I watched it. But you made a post saying, join the mailing list now, keep people like DJ G.I. Joe off the streets and give them loving home environment they deserve. Gayforfood.org. Keep our streets safe. No man should be without a home. More organized breakdancing, less violence, more man on man love, less punani. I wonder which gang DJ G.I. Joe breakdanced his way into. Happy Cinco de Mayo, y'all. I don't have Joseph's Cash App, but if you know it, feel free to DM it. No man should be without the warm embrace of a taco today, and I don't want Joey's debt standing in the way of him getting a good meal like the kind I eat on the daily. Hey, Joey, you know how you laughed at the end when you said, I come from the streets? That made me laugh too. Thank you.
Yeah, like congratulations, DJ G.I. Joe. Like he definitely did come from a shit environment. That's a given. How like no one's questioning that because you're such a piece of shit. You clearly came from shit. No one comes from like a great back except for like Chet Hanks or whatever that Tom Hanks' son is, the fucking weirdo. Uh, like you clearly came from a shit environment and never stepped out of being shit. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. It's literally ranked the second most miserable city in America. You don't see me glorifying the shit. I rose above it and became a better person and did good things for those in Toledo and did good things for those around the world. Like, you're from the streets. Congratulations. Bro, if it push came to shove, I'll blow your fucking head off. Clearly, you didn't get the memo from Immortal Technique. Like, there's no harm to come to M80. We're not going to physically try and harm this person for defending our brother how he feels like he has to defend our brother. And I'm not going at any of their necks and some crazy shit. At one of the Wu-Tang shows in Orange County, Ontario, Tech's right-hand man came up to me and was like, I love you. And I know that shit's been kind of rough the past few months, but like, I kind of had to see through the shit to really understand your perspective. And, you know, we hugged it out. We took a flick together. I posted it. Like, and that's what it's been, dude. Like, since, you know, I turned the master rights over to the youngest daughters and they get weekly accountings and all the money is going to them. And I literally walked the talk. I've gotten hundreds of apology messages from people I've never met that just whatever. And I do occasionally still get the message like, you like an asshole to Chino's family and blah, blah, blah. Clearly, again, just choosing not to educate themselves to the facts of it all. But like, if Chino's family, like your Bellas and Lyrics and their moms are saying like, yo, we don't fuck with you. And she didn't really fuck with you like that. So stop making up this narrative. Joe can't help but run with it because it's not like he has anything else going on in his life. This is like the biggest thing ever for DJ G.I. Joe and Steina. And I would trade $1 million fucking dollars if I could to have Chino back alive and well. But now these people have life purpose. I was helping Chino while he was here. I'm going to continue to while he's gone. I brokered a deal for Rakim a few weeks ago, and as part of my commission, I worked in a car for Lyric. Lyric's going to turn 16. And I got her a car. The Range Rover I bought for Chino, China and them are trying to steal. Like, they're like, well, it's ours. And it's like, I didn't buy it for you. Like, what are you talking about? It's yours. And like they again, they think there's $1 million at the end of the rainbow here. You know, they've launched the Chino XL website to sell shit. They launched this is crazy, by the way. We're going to talk about this for a minute. They launched the autographed action figures. Okay. You're never going to get an autographed anything from Chino again. Right?
Right.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote them and that deal was done when I was management. I said, take the 20% you owe me and give it to Chino's youngest daughters. And the people that made the action figures are like, we're not giving you or them shit. I'm like, okay, what about the action figures? And they're like, we didn't set aside any comps for them. The people that made the action figures are saying, we're not even going to give an action figure of their father to the youngest daughters. And so I do what M80 does, and I put that out there in the world. Bro, they've been selling action figures for 4 months and haven't sold 50 of them shit.
Wow.
So because the world gets to see you for how fucking gross you are, there you go. Go make your little bit of gross money. They haven't sold more than 100 shirts or aprons or mugs or hats or whatever the fuck on ChinoXL.com because people see through the bullshit. We sold a great number of the Map of Bones pieces of merch because they were actually designed and in stock. They were designed by Lyric and Bella. Like all the shit on ChinoXL.com is like drop ship. Like you order it, it gets pressed and shipped. Like they don't have an inventory of aprons and shirts. And I think that's gross because like if I said these action figures were mine and I was selling them, they'd be gone in a week. Who wouldn't want something signed by Chino when you can never get something signed by Chino again? But the world got to see them for the growth individuals they are.
Kind of doubling back on what we were talking about earlier with the music, right? When things aren't done in the vision, of the artist, or it's not genuine in that vein, I think the fans can tell, right? The fans can see it. Like you've said before, like Chino would never sell this stash box of weed or whatever. Like he would never do that. Like it's just not something that fits his whole, brand, right?
Yeah, like the stash boxes when the guy didn't smoke weed.
Right. Like that sort of stuff. So do you feel like there is any way that you and China could come to any resolution at this point?
No, and it's not because of me. It's because they've had ample opportunity to just apologize to me.
So if they came and apologized, you would be okay. You would consider.
I sent China a message like 8 months ago when I talked to one of Chino's exes that was friends with China. And the ex made it seem like China was going to write me and apologize and like just use me. Because I remember after she passed, like, whatever you need, I'll do it for free. I'll help you however I can help. You owe me nothing. So after having this conversation with one of Chino's exes, I wrote China. I texted her. I'm like, I'm looking forward to us working together for like the betterment of Chi's legacy preservation. Of course, to no text back. And this was months after they had shit talked me to death. But a lot of people like a China or a Stacey Castro or a DJ G.I. Joe, they're never going to apologize. They're never going to admit that perhaps they were wrong. They're so invested into the M80s, the scum of the earth campaign. They can't do it, bro.
And do you think that at this point, because so much has happened since those 8 months, right? It's gotten worse. That it's.
Well, you're over. It's been a year. He passed a year ago, like 2 days ago.
Right, but you said 8 months ago you had wrote her, right? So you were willing to forgive at that time if things were okay, but it's gotten much worse.
I don't have anything personal against these people. I don't even know them. I've met China one time in my life after Chino passed. Remember, I didn't know she existed during Chi's lifetime. I've never met Lady London. I've never met her mom. Like, I think it would make sense that Lady London and her mom would be one of the first to apologize to me. Her mom had the audacity to put on social media that I didn't pay for the funeral, that I didn't pay for Chino's stem cell transplant shit. And it's like, what are you talking about? I have the receipt from the funeral house. I have the receipt from the stem cell surgical center. It's like, well, those could be doctored. I'm like, how fucking dumb are you? You think I'm willing to risk my livelihood, my ability to navigate the music business and be a factor, like, and not in my mind, in the reality of the business, for making up lies about assisting in the life aid of another man? No, come on. So they were so into the bullshit they were sold from China and Stacey, like they can't snap out of it, even though I proved them all wrong. And just like the person I talked to, I forgot that they only knew Chi when it was like China and the Stewart side of the family, and not really too well when Chino had his other kids and my role in his life and stuff. So I expected to talk to someone like you mentioned, Michael Rappaport, and being someone that's intelligent, objective, thinking that they would utilize those same character skills. But no, they were just like, you're the scum of the earth. you really put the family through it. And well, I just want to see the family have the rights. And I'm like, are you not familiar with the fact that I literally turned over 2 albums? You don't own 0 albums in his lifetime, but now his youngest daughters own 2 of them. Like, so I knew then that nothing in the reality of the situation mattered. You're going to pick the side you want to be on, and that's what it is. So it actually makes my day to day easier knowing like you can't rationalize with irrational people. And I'm not going to waste my time trying to make you love me. I love the fact I'm able to take care of myself and my family. Everything else is fucking secondary.
So you said that Chino's best friend had stole money from him, right?
Stole money from me that Chino like co-signed for.
Oh, okay. And who's his best friend? Just like a random
Bobby
guy?
Bowdit. No, not a random. He would always be at the shows, whether acting as a DJ or a hype man or a merch guy. But he took this money and like blatantly after knowing that Chino needed the money. I mean, Chino texted him no less than 50, 60 times about it. And Bobby would make up mad excuses like, sorry, dude, it's not a good time. I'm feuding with my wife, or we're getting evicted from the house, or I need the money for my son's tuition or whatever. Literally like a week after. Oh, and by the way, Bobby was the one that took pictures of Chino's suicide note and was sending it to people the day they discovered his body.
Wow.
The grossest fucking thing you can do. You've never seen the family talk shit about Bobby. It's like either they acknowledge this really happened or they're choosing not to believe it because it's like, that was Chino's brother. He would never snake him. And it's like, oh, okay, think whatever you want. But again, I live in reality. So I'm not playing the side of, in an ideal world, someone's best friend would never fuck them over. But I see it happen all too often.
And Chino asked you for more money, but you told him to go get it from your best friend, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But
because
now,
I told Chi he could keep it. So wait, let me explain that. I'm no fucking dummy in business, and it's literally impossible to take advantage of me. People try, and it either harms them physically or harms them mentally, or one way or the other. Like it's I'm gonna be fine. In this contract that Chino was a co-signer and vouched for, I, as collateral, had 10% of this tequila company that was supposedly worth millions. Okay. I used to work with this label called Sound Records and Entertainment in Seattle. They were connected to the world's largest debt collection agency in Renton, Washington, or some shit. I sold them the debt contract, so I got my money back. So I like, and even the Mortal Technique in them will tell you, like, after that happened from Bobby, where he like stole the money that could have helped me, I let a year go by and never wrote him once like, hey, where's my money? Because I found a company that was willing to buy the debt contract. So if this tequila company is called La Conecta, if they actually ever become something, these old white men are going to enforce this debt contract against them and collect millions. But I sold them the contract at what I lost for, 20 grand. Okay. So Tech had asked me, he's like, so if you got the money back, then why would Bobby still owe someone money? I said, because there's interest. So Bobby was late interest wise to the tune of like 30 to 40,000 bucks. So I told he could take all the money. I wanted Chino to be active about getting money from Bob. Bobby's not my friend. I would call Bobby for two things. And because of the legalities of it, I can't tell you what those were. Bobby, if you interviewed him, I'm sure will gladly tell you what they were. Bobby being close to G.I. Joe and them, it would make sense that Bobby would tell them. So maybe they'd stop shit talking to me. Like, and no, like, bro, maybe it's a fucking play. I don't know what that would give them the impression that I do, but so I told she, like, bro, you vouched for Bobby. And she never thought that this would happen. And people after she passed tried to convince me that he was in on it. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's like, knows what the value of like me is. So if Bobby was taking advantage from me for 20 grand, and let's say Chi was in on it and took half the money or some shit. I don't see a world where Chi sells me out for 10 grand. So I refuse to believe that scenario when other people like Saint, who was shit talking me and whatnot after just being like DJ G.I. Joe and acknowledging all the great things I did and loving me. Um, go get your money from Bobby. I don't have any money for you. And the difference between when I paid for the stem cells and when I did the loans and like gave Chi the money for the Range Rover and stuff, this was either before my daughter was born or when she was in the first like 6 months of being alive. After that, with my daughter in the picture, yeah, you might hit me up to need to borrow money and I might give you a few $100, but that's where we draw the line. I'm not giving someone 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand. It's not happening. Those days are done, bro. My daughter comes first in all walks of life. So that's what Bobby did. So the 20 grand that Bobby could have paid, or the 30 grand or the 40 grand that he should have paid to Chino, that would have paid, if it was 20 grand, it would have paid for one of the two stem cell procedures. And if Chino had both stem cell procedures that kept him alive for an extra 2 years, my logic was if he would have at least had one of the two procedures, he could have stayed alive for an extra 6 to 12 months. And again, I didn't realize that she had cancer, and there was not a lot of people who knew. So I didn't know how the cancer element was weighing on him as well.
Because, you know, people were really critical of you during the last interview because they were like, this guy is saying he didn't make that much money off of Chino, but now he's talking about he bought a Rolls Royce and a Bentley in the same week. And,
Yep.
you know, looking back in hindsight, do you wish that you had given him the money, though, because it would mean that he would be here today?
Okay, so good question. Someone else close to Chi did give him the money. And so that I've asked myself that many times. If I would have given the money, would he still be here? Well, the answer is no, because one of Sunil's friends did give him money and actually sent me the proof of the wire. I think he knew that the cancer was overwhelming and collected the money just so he might be able to like leave something for the girl. Even in like whether it's 10 grand, 20 grand, we're not talking a lot of money. But it's still something, because when we were in those court dates, you know, the judge was saying like the state in its whole with the music he owns and the assets he owns is worth like 10 grand. That was it. And he had 2 cars and fucking, well, you know, it wasn't there. I wish that he at least would have, you know, I said in the first part, like, he told me, when you come back from Australia, I won't be alive. Then I come back and he's still alive. And I thought, okay, cool. Like, you changed your mind and you're going to be here with us and brighter days are ahead. Rakim's about to drop. We're going to drop your album. Everything's going to be good. I wish if he was still of that mind frame, he at least would have taken a few days to be like, can you help me get my affairs in order? Even Bobby Bowden, when his dad was going to pass, M80, can you help me put together like this living will and trust? And I did it. This is before the theft shit. But I'm saying, like, she knew that I'm capable of doing these things are essentially must for anyone that's doing like life planning stuff. You know, so you know, I don't mind the people that are like, oh, well, if M80 didn't make a lot of money with Chino, where's the money come from, and how does he afford nice shit? You know, I work with over 200 people. Like, every time I do a day's worth of work with Snoop, my commission is essentially enough to buy a car. Okay. If I'm brokering you know, if I'm an A&R of a Wu-Tang album that makes over $1 million, what kind of money do you think I'm making? I worked with Chi and made less than $20,000 in fucking since like '08. So clearly, like Priest, anytime I do work with Priest and made money, then we go out afterwards, and I'd be paying for the shit, the dinners, the sporting events, the drinks, and they were always plentiful. I mean, we're in a suite at the Lakers game and Clippers games and Kings games. This shit's not cheap, dude. All right, like Priest gets like $1,000 a verse or $1,500 a show, like. And if I'm taking my $150 commission and buying us 8 tickets to a Laker game suite, clearly I'm taking a loss, but I'm doing it because you're my friend. When me and Priest had our initial fallout, as I also said in the first part of the interview, filled that void for me. And it was never about how much money can I make about Chino. I have artists I work with that is how much money can I make with this person. I don't make any money if I'm not making them money. That's never the case. So, I don't mind it when people if they looked at me like I only, was my only client, that would make perfect sense. But I have 200 fucking some clients.
How much unreleased Chino music exists out there? Because I interviewed Focus 3 Dots, right? And he said that he had an album with Chino that he's finishing up and going to give to the Barbosa family to release.
So there's the album with Focus. And saying it's an album is probably very modest. I'm sure it could be like 5 albums. He loved Focus. There is Darkness Our Colors. There's Map of Bones. There's God's Carpenter 2. There is the Tempest, which is the Man Bites Dog EP. There is the Madlib and Oh No record, which is like something Hammer. There's the Mantis with Chino and GZA, which also has the last ever real Chino XL music video. That was supposed to be fourth quarter of this year, but we're going to drop the GZA album and that Chino album with GZA in 2026. There's a lot of factors going on with all things DZ right now. So we're going to just drop EPs for the rest of the year and keep that momentum alive. There's a record with somebody called Pale Horse Productions that's run by like Block McCloud and this guy Matt Munns. There's an ad for it in the Ascension pack. So yeah, there's at least 8, 9, 10 more records.
Wow. That's crazy.
I'm pretty sure Jared Lee Goslin has an unreleased EP at Chino's. Rome has to have shit. Paul Getty probably has extra shit. Remember, she was such a perfectionist that he only released very sparsely. Like, thank God, Chino's family, or China and Steina, deleted like all the posts from Chino's Instagram where he was bigging me up. But I already had screenshots, everything. So it was simple for me to find the post where Chino's like, I'm going to have 3 projects drop this year. I'm working on 5, but 3 of them are coming. Because that was a big criticism in DJ G.I. Joe's video. Like, M80 is just releasing Chino music like at his fucking leisure. Chino didn't drop this much music when he was alive. And then I post the post from Chino, like, I'm going to drop 3 albums this year. Like, so now, Joe, are you telling Chino he's bullshit? Or just me? Like, okay.
Has the situation with you and Pete Rock been resolved?
No.
What happened with that situation exactly?
Okay. It's a long story, but I'll try to shorten it up as possible. I already bought at the top of COVID like 2 or 3 beats from Pete Rock. And I told him what the budget was. And I said, look, send me those tracks that I can choose from for this budget. And me, Corrupt, and Razcast made the picks. And it was originally for a project called Black Steel and Hour of Chaos. That was originally supposed to be Canibus and Priest from like 2015. Then Corrupt and Razcast wanted to use my Black Steel and Hour of Chaos idea. And by the way, Hour was like HR, SMN, like Horseman, but the SMN crossed out. Okay? And then Chuck D's going to narrate the album and stuff. Now, Razcast has since taken the title and is making a solo album, Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos. That's a very, Afrocentric style record. Raz was going to get other tracks from Pete Rock and like all these other producers. So I'm like, cool, since I paid for the Pete beats, I'm going to keep them. Then the more and more I was working with Canibus, I go to Pete, hey, I already got these 2 beats from you, or 3. If I set aside $10,000, would you let me pick 8 more beats? I will fly to LA, or I'll fly to New York. I'll bring cash. You play me the available records in the studio, and you'll just give me the sessions, and I'll leave. Like, simple. So I send him the contract, and he's like, my manager's going to review it and get back to you. Now, when Fat Beats and I were still cool, I'm in the office one day with Joe, the president, now former president, and he's like, oh, man, he's like, good luck with that. I'm like, what do you mean good luck with that? He's like, we did this deal with Pete. and we were paying him like 20 grand, and he sent the contract back signed, but changed 20 to 30, and no one caught it. And then we signed it. We had to end up paying him the 30. I'm like, you didn't have to pay him, dude. You could have said, like, go fuck yourself. We're not doing the deal, and sued him. And Joe's like, well, I didn't want to go that route. So after hearing that story from Joe, that's exactly what Pete did to me. He sent me the contract for the 10 grand back, crossed off the 10 and made it 20, and thought I'd be dumb enough to not notice and sign off and have to owe him 20 grand. So when I saw that shit, I'm like, look, dude, I got 10 grand for you. You can take it or leave it. Like, well, and I'm worth blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I don't give a fuck. You could be worth $1 million. I'm working on a fucking cannabis record. I know how much money it makes. Like, the biggest cannabis record I ever worked on made like $50,000. Okay. We're talking about, and that was like when people bought records like Melatonin Magic. Kaiju did like 40 something in December 2021. That was humongous. Okay. But the average cannabis project across all formats, digital, physical, we're not clearing more than 20 grand. Right. If he tours and all that shit and has merch, then sure, that clearly substantiates the record. But I told Pete 10 grand, take it or leave it. And he's like, I'll leave it. And I said, cool. So I'm just going to put out this EP with the 2 joints I already have. And I had a Pete Rock verse from the Academy too. Bronze remix it. And that was with CEP. And Pete Rock would keep sending me emails like, man, let's talk. Like, how about 15? And I'm like, you don't understand, you dumb motherfucker. I'm not making this 10 grand number up in my head. It is based on what I can pay you and pay Canibus and Bronze and mixing and mastering and manufacturing, all the things that go into making a fucking record and still profit. So no, I can't pay you 20. I can't pay you 15. I'm not going to pay you 11, 10. And he didn't want to do it. So then boom. Then we go and release the record. This is crazy. When the record comes out, he actually like retweets it a few times. Then randomly, I've already sold out of physical. CDs, the 7-inches, the whole 9, all that stuff is digital. Then he starts talking shit about it. Like, I didn't produce these records, and like, M80 never paid me. And again, that's where people dubbed me the receipt king. And I did that in a very tasteful manner. Like, okay, Pete, I never paid you. Here's the email where you sent me your bank info. Here's the attachment where I sent the receipt. Here's the contract you signed in your name for the verse. Here's the contract you signed for the beat. So eventually, all the Pete Rock fans wanted to hate me too, because they don't know who the fuck I am. And then there was like one Pete Rock fan left standing. Everyone else was like, damn, like, I'm sorry. I didn't know our fucking loyal hero was a liar like this. And, Pete's notorious for bad business, but I'm usually the only person to speak up on this shit.
It was a really weird situation because like he did say that he didn't produce those beats and everyone was confused. I think I saw a Canibus interview where Canibus was really confused by the situation.
Listen, that shit was hilarious because he said he didn't produce the beats, but one of the beats he sold us, he also used on the Flea Lord album. So not only did it's a Pete Rock Flea Lord album. So if you didn't produce it for Canibus, did you also not produce it for Flea Lord? You fucking piece of shit. So like, you're mad and you still got paid and you literally sold the same beat twice. And my paperwork says I exclusively own it. It's hilarious. So I didn't sue Pete or anything. The funniest shit though was when Corrupt told me he talked to Pete and smoothed everything out. And then I wanted to go talk to Pete. Pete's like, get the fuck away from me. Fuck you, dude. And I was like, oh, Corrupt lied to me. That's what.
What was the situation with you and Agallah?
Dude, all these are in the book. I can't wait for you to read it. Agallah, that situation's even longer. I worked on this Ghostface album in 2018, and I hadn't talked to Agallah in a couple of years. I don't remember why, just maybe circumstance. I don't think there was any like shit. But I'd heard he was like really down bad. Like someone told me he had like $12 in his name. So I started talking to him. I guess like his birthday was coming up, and he said he wanted this specific pair of shoes. So I bought him the shoes and shipped them to him in New York. And he's like, M80, honestly, like I was gonna kill myself. But like you restored my faith in humanity. Like you bought me these shoes I wanted. They're expensive, blah, 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 blah. So when I started working on the Ghostface album, I came up with this idea to do the remix album. So the album is called The Lost Tapes. The remix version is called The Ghost File. And it's the same album, but on the first half is Bronze Nazareth beat, and the second half is Agallah beat. It's the biggest record I've done to date from a financial standpoint. You know, I spent like $185,000 in the making of the record, and it did everything I wanted to do and then some. But we have this giant email thread with all the artists who are associated with the record and Ghostface and management and blah, 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 blah. And I'm telling everyone like what we're going to do each week. So the same day we announced the album, The Lost Tapes, that's Ghostface produced by Big Go, Agallah just posts on social media, and wait till you hear the remix album that I produced. And it's like, bro, what the fuck's wrong with you? Everyone on this email chain is following my lead. Do not do anything until I tell you. And then, of course, Agallah, instead of being a fucking grown up and just apologizing. Oh, and by the way, I paid him, I think, $4,000 for that. And this is at a time where he has $12 to his name. So, like, I have literally saved his life by buying the shoes. He didn't kill himself. And now he actually has, like, money to get his life together. Okay. And instead of just saying, yo, Em, I'm sorry, man, you're right, I won't do it again, just goes completely left with it. Like, fuck you. You don't tell me what to do. I'll do what I want. And I got paid very handsomely to turn in, you know, all components of the album, the ghost file, or sorry, the lost tape, the ghost files, all that shit. So I'm not about to like, you know, what's the phrase? Like bite my nose to spite my hand or whatever the fuck. You know, I'm not gonna like call the label and be like, we're not running with the Agallah remix side anymore. Like, fuck that dude. You know, I just let it happen. But he just proceeded on. So while I'm telling the world that we have a Ghostface album coming, this dude's talking about a whole other shit that I'm not going to announce for 3 more months. And, you know, then Agallah got all mouthy and it never stopped. Then when I started working with Canibus again in 2021, it just escalated and he's calling out me, he's calling out Canibus. And by this time, I don't know what his drug of choice is, but whatever it is, singular or plural, like clearly it's got the vice grips on him. His teeth look like they're fucking non-existent. I hear he's living in various basements and shit, and asking people he meet on like Instagram, like, "Yo, we should do a song together, and like maybe I could live with you." It's like the craziest fucking shit ever. Like, and I always told Agallah, I'm like, bro, if I ever see you, like, I'm gonna beat the living fuck out of you. Like, no question about it. Like, in my mind, you're like, you don't even come up to my dick. And I'm backstage at this Ghostface show for NEM's Coney Island Gorilla Fest shit. And I'm talking to fucking Scram Jones, and he walked up to me. And I'm instantly getting ready to like throw a fucking right hook at him. And he's like, stop. Like, I'm going to apologize, and I'm so sorry. And I'm like, dude, just whatever. Get the fuck out of my face. Talk to Ray. And he just starts talking to my friend Ray. And I'm continuing my conversation with Scram Jones and then go say what's up to Go. And I just realized, I'm like, dude, these people are just, look, I get it. Talk your shit, but be honest about it. Like, just be like, M80 helped me when I needed help. M80's done lots of shit for my career. And to be dead honest with you, I wish I was M80. And at least I can move on in a respectful manner. And that's how I feel about DJ G.I. Joe. And that's how I feel about Agallah and a lot of these fucking dudes. Canibus, like, no, just say like you gave up, like Priest. Just say you gave up on me. Like, you never thought that your life was going to get any better than what it is. And then when me and Priest became friends again for the whole 2 weeks, Priest sat me down and he's like, how the fuck do you like do so well for yourself? I'm like, I'm grounded, bro. Like, yeah, I have nice things because I fucking work hard. Like, you spent your whole life not caring about money. You're a drifter. So don't start caring about your financial future now when you're fucking 50 some years old. That's some shit you're supposed to care about when the money is like plentiful. So like the fact is my now 3-year-old daughter has a college fund and a trust fund and like makes money from Holy Tree Productions on a monthly basis that goes into her account. That's the kind of shit you're supposed to be like planning ahead for. And these people are looking at like how they're going to afford their next bar tab, how they're going to cop their next drug stack. Like we live completely different lives.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few stories about Agallah, and they weren't very positive. And he recently just even went off on Lloyd Banks. I don't know if you saw that. And he was like,
Yo, did you see the shit with him and Buckshot?
yeah, I remember.
Like Aguilar's somehow always in the mix. And then I was making fun of Aguilar because like Kobe Bryant died and he's got a Kobe Bryant tribute. Sean Price died, he's got a Sean Price tribute. Project, like this is the king of like you die and I got a song ready to come out the next day with you or for you.
All right. This one's really important, okay? What happened with you and Rhymefest? Because that was crazy.
Oh. Rhymefest just all of a sudden lied. Like, but you actually, he lied too. He said, like, I think you asked him about knowing me and the battle we had, and he responded like, I don't know who M80 is, and I've never battled whoever this M80 guy is. Bro, that's crazy. I literally have like live footage of me and Rhymefest performing together. Like Rhymefest is on my third solo album. We had the same mentor at one point in time, DJ Indiana Jones, rest in peace. I was there when Rhymefest couldn't fuck any of my hot white girlfriends. I was there when, dude, I was with Rhymefest when he applied for a job at McDonald's. Like, we were very close.
Wait, how old? How old is
Uh,
he at that time? He's applying for McDonald's.
It was like a year before he got his J Records contract. Now, he'll tell you, I didn't know really why he was applying for a job at McDonald's. But I think he'll tell you that it was because he wanted the uniform to use in a music video. I don't think he was ever serious about working at McDonald's. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. But I was with him when he was applying for a job at the Broad Ripple McDonald's located on Broad Ripple Avenue before Guilford. I was there. So I didn't like the fact that Rhymefest one lied to you about not knowing me and this battle. So Rhymefest, yeah, you're a big deal on a much grander scale. We're not going to take away from your talent or any of that, but I am going to call out people's lies, and that's just what I do. Rhymefest gets called to battle me in the second round of a battle that takes place at the club, which is in the Glendale Mall in Indianapolis, Indiana. And he loses to me. Okay. And he's all pissed off about it. And tells DJ Indiana Jones, his manager and mentor, like, come on, let's leave. And Jones wanted to stay and watch me. Now, I went on to win that whole shit. Like, I got the prize money, whatever. But Rhymefest acting like that never happened is crazy because, dude, it's such an insignificant. You have like a Grammy and a Tony and an Oscar, and you like are best friends with Kanye West, and you toured the world. Like, it's okay to take a fucking random L here and there, bro. Then other people from Indiana, like at least 4 or 5 other rappers, were like, I beat Rhymefest too. What M80 saying isn't so fucking crazy. Like, in fact, one of the people was there when I beat him. Rhymefest might have been the shit at like Scribble Jam and in Chicago, but in Indiana, he was far from being a top 10 freestyle battle rapper.
But he was caught lying about the Scribble Jam thing too, about Eminem.
So that, and I'm going to segue to that. So then it like fluctuated because he's lying about M80, which is such a random, weird thing to lie about. Like in my third album, 11th Hour, you lift up the CD and there's a picture of us performing together. You're on the album. Like if that was the only evidence in the world, that's enough to be like, you know this guy. But he literally took a story that belonged to another battle rapper where Eminem used the line like that Rhymefest is like, he used it against me and called me the N-word. That never happened to you. Yes, you did battle Eminem, and I don't remember if you won or lost, but the fact is you battled him. So you have a real Eminem story. You can tell your real story. But you're such a fucking weirdo. You literally stole another guy's story and made it yours. And it took a few weeks for people to realize, like, oh, this M80 guy's not so crazy. Like, I can tell in the video that's not Rhymefest.
Well, it was really bad because he accused him of calling him the N-word, which he didn't either, though.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
You're trying to destroy the credibility of one of the greatest rappers of all time. And here you are, just being Rhymefest. And sorry, the Rhymefest shit really exacerbated. I forgot, I wrote the Rhymefest chapter in my book, but it really exacerbated when we came to LA literally like a week after, or maybe a month after, or whatever. The pandemic ended, and now the restaurants and stores are back open and stuff. The Rhymefest makes a social media post about going to a restaurant, and he didn't get the hot sauce he wanted, so left a $0 tip, and felt like the need to tell all his social media people about this. I'm like, you're a fucking horrible human being, dude. Like, you have the ability to make money. I have the ability to make money. Imagine skipping someone that's been out of work for a year or 2 years. Like, I think you bill him like $30 or some shit. So what? At most you would have tipped like $6, $7 and not giving it to them and leaving $0 and feeling compelled to tell your social media fans about it. So I'm like, you're a fucking horrible piece of shit. I'm gonna go to the restaurant when I can and I'm gonna fucking tip for you. And then he got all like, oh, I made him, I'm gonna whoop your fucking ass next time I see you and all this shit. So I go to the restaurant, I tip, I give $100 bill to the waiter. Then I take another 50 and I spread it out, either 50 or 100, and spread it out amongst the staff. And I film it. I'm like, I'm here. I'm doing this. Like, fuck Rhymefest. You're fucking just deplorable. So Rhymefest is like, I'm going to beat your fucking ass. And I'm like, are you still in LA? He's like, yeah. I was like, cool. Here's where I'm going to be tonight. I'm going to put you on the guest list and I'm going to be I'll be by myself. Come with whoever you want, but I'll be by myself. And like, everyone's like, you are the funniest fucking dude ever. Not only do you want to smoke, but you made sure he didn't have to pay. I literally paid. I paid to get in the Viper room one time to beat someone's ass. Okay, like they would not let me in unless I paid, and I'm like, here. And Bishop Lamont was with me; he can tell you. So I put Rhymefest on the guest list so we could get into where I was at, which was the Horseman album listening party. And I would have fucking guffed at Rhymefest, and guess who didn't show? Rhymefest. Did he ever talk shit after that? Nope.
Wow.
So you're not going to act like you don't know who the fuck I am, bro. Like, you're not going to do that. And he skipped DJ Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones ended up forgiving him. Indiana Jones brokered his record deal with J Records, not Kanye or not Mark Ronson, contrary to popular belief. And Rhymefest did not pay him $1. I'd kill for that.
That's wild.
But Jones is a better man than me and forgave him, which is crazy.
I want to ask you about your thoughts about Benzino. He was on a podcast and he lost it on the podcasters. They're white. It was his second time on there. And
I saw that.
Yeah, and the main host said something along the lines of Benzino fucked up the source. Benzino also got mad and said the host could never be as hip hop as him, basically because he was white. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, Benzino was the co-creator of the source. And by the way, Benzino's not the only like corny factor in that. The Dave Mays guy is as bad, if not worse, than Benzino, but he's not as out there in the public. One time he was talking shit to me on a call because he's in charge of the Suge Knight podcast, and the guy that was in charge of like filming the podcast, editing it, and releasing it was a client of mine, and they were paying him like $200 an episode and some shit, and he wanted a raise, and they wouldn't give it to him. And I'm like, then just quit, dude. Like, this shit's doing nothing for you. You're not going to get famous because you're the guy editing and filming the Suge Knight fucking from jail podcast. So the Dave Mays dude was talking mad shit to me. And I'm like, hey, Dave, I'm the executive producer of the new Rakim record coming out. He's like, yeah, fucking right, blah, 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 blah. And then he had to like tuck his tail and apologize to me and like, you know, that shit. But Benzino, I had worked with Benzino before. And he was like threatening to come see me and shit and trying to recruit these bloods in LA to come see me. And the other bloods in LA are calling me like, how do you want us to handle this? And I'm like, fucking handle it. Like, nothing happened. Benzino got on the phone, apologized, the whole shit. Like, but he's always been hyper emotional and sensitive. But dude, it's like Dame Dash, dog. Like at one point in time, Benzino was the shit. At one point in time, Dame Dash was the shit. You know how hard it is to live with the fact you know you're never going to be a shell of what you once were? Benzino can't help but lash out against white people who love hip hop, white artists in hip hop. Anyone that doesn't look like Benzino, he automatically hates you because he will blame you, whether it's intentional or unintentional, for his demise that he created. I mean, he literally created his own demise by putting like 19 ads per issue of the Made Men in his own fucking magazine, or giving his own shit like 5 mics, but not like GZA or Nas or Eminem. You know, like it was bound to happen. But there's no comeback for Benzino. It's like, but he refuses to just move on with life. So white people out there, there's no need for you to be offended. He literally can't help himself.
But you respect what he contributed to the game, right?
Of course.
Because the source was really the Bible at one time in hip-hop.
Listen, I've never owned a Benzino album, but I owned many issues of the source. You know, so yeah, I like people might have a fuck ton of albums I've A&R'd, but maybe they don't own any M80 albums of me as a rapper. So it's the same ethics. Like, you have to find out where the buck starts and stops. So it's like everyone that buys a Wu-Tang album doesn't have to be an M80 fan, whether I'm eating off the project or not. Just because I executive produce a Rakim record doesn't mean you have to respect me as a rapper. I'm not rapping on the motherfucker. So it's nice when people can discern why they either do fuck with you or don't fuck with you. You know, like I go on these Wu-Tang forums and look all the time just to laugh. And it's like, people like, man, we really give M80 a hard time, but all these projects would never existed if it wasn't for him. And, you know, okay, cool. So like, respect the fact as an A&R, I make great product. And you didn't have to like me as a rapper. Cool. End of story. Move on. Benzino just wants to be all the things still. Like, he just released a freestyle like yesterday or something that the internet's running wild with.
I was about to ask you about that. Do you like it?
Like, no, of course I don't like it.
Why not?
It's not good. Like, you know what would have made it better? Not only just having better rhymes, but like, just let it be you in the video. Who the fuck are those three dudes behind? What are they doing? Why are they there?
Yo, but people were wild. They were saying, like, is that the made men in the background? I'm like, come on, man.
That's funny. It's very funny. So there's just so much shit, like, you know, like, imagine this. My last M80 rap record, which was my highest charting, was Billboard Rap Top 40, came out in 2019. So I'm 6 years removed from like making an M80 rap album. Let's say I decide to make my final album in the next few years. And the first thing I put out is subpar at best. That doesn't bode well for me. So he really was like feeling himself like, yeah, this is ill and people are going to fuck with this. And it wasn't that. The aesthetic of it looked fucking dumb. The rhymes were basic as fuck. Like, I don't want to hear about your YNs and grilling and killing and blood spilling. Like, dog, fuck out of here.
What was the reason for you guys having issues to begin with, though?
Oh, say like dumb shit like with Rhymefest. You know, like I said, Rhymefest, like I blew up on him when he was like, he pretended like he didn't know me. So Benzino made a social media post like, come check out my new restaurant in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm like, your restaurant's not in Atlanta. It's in another city. And it's like, when people live in the Bay, they always say they live in Frisco or San Fran, but they live in like fucking Hayward, Oakland, or San Jose, or fucking Dublin. But to be cool, they always say they live in San Fran or Frisco or whatever. Like, no one cares where your fucking restaurant is, dude. So be honest, say it's in blank, Georgia. And he was like, fuck you, white man, da 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 da. I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. That was it. It was that simple. But he took it to this level of like, I'm going to come see you. It's like, please. Okay.
Do you empathize with him, though, because he has had a lot of white Eminem fans spew a lot of racism?
He brought that upon himself. No, I have no empathy for that. He brought that upon himself. He started that war.
But they call him like the N-word and all types of crazy stuff. And I mean, so I feel like there's a level of sensitivity when it comes to white people with him. I don't know. Like, he's like very like triggered for some reason.
Oh, as he should be. As he definitely should be. I understand that side of what you're saying, but war has no boundaries. Like, you don't like random white kids calling you racial slurs? I wouldn't like it. I get it. You perhaps should not have entertained that war.
What did you think of his Eminem diss? The most recent one, when he filmed the video in Detroit?
I don't remember it. I remember seeing footage. I don't remember the song.
Okay. All right. There was a list of the Mount Rushmore of white rappers with Eminem, Russ, Mac Miller, and Paul Wall. MGK said it was blasphemy he wasn't listed on the list. You said that he lost his chance when he left rap to create rock music. And you said R.A. the Rugged Man would slaughter the populace. You said if we were talking about cultural impact, then it would be Eminem and Beastie Boys. And then you said before you pick popular names like Mac Miller and Russ, you would have to pick R.A. and Vinnie Paz.
Yeah. RA for sure. But like, if you only have 4 slots and we're talking about cultural impact, you got Eminem and the Beastie Boys. How the fuck are you going to argue that the Beastie Boys weren't the shit? Okay. RA is a better rapper than the rest of all those dudes, your Mac Millers, your MGKs, your Yellow Wolves, blah, blah, blah. But if you put the Beastie Boys in 1 slot instead of 3, you got Eminem, you got the Beastie Boys, you got RA, and the 4th could be left up to interpretation.
Do these type of lists like upset you?
Not at all.
It just seems like there's always some list that, you know, some media outlet is making top 50 rappers, whatever and stuff. And it's just like, it's always a point of contention, right? Like people are always getting very heated about like, how could you leave this person off?
The lists have always been funny to me because I'm the highest selling and like chart topping shit rapper in Toledo. But I moved from Toledo when I was 13. I didn't have any records out, so I get why I'm not on those lists. It doesn't matter that I came back and did all this good shit for Toledo. But like, so I laugh about that. I also laugh more about the Indianapolis because again, I haven't lived there for fucking 12, 13 years. But I'm still the highest selling rapper in Indy. It has nothing to do with the records of A&R and the executive producer. I'm the highest selling rapper to ever come out in. And I have the Guinness World Freestyle record, and you know, clearly I've toured the most and all that shit. But I'm never on those lists, so it just lets me know that people are only focused on the here and now. So it's really like who was active in this past calendar year, who did the coolest shit. There's no historical like analytic behind it. But if you're talking about Rushmore shit, that's all about the history.
But people always have different metrics too, though. Like, people value different things,
Yep.
right? Some people like substance. Some people are more like lyricism, so you know, flow and stuff. Like they weigh it differently. It's so subjective.
Yeah. So again, like people getting mad at it, it's like, all right, you really ain't got shit going on in life. You're about to get upset about this shit, you know? Like, go make your own fucking list.
I find it fun to just talk about, but like I don't take it so serious where like I'm getting like really like amped up about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who else would you include like as honorable mentions on a list like that for the top 4 white rappers?
Vinnie Paz,
Mm-hmm.
Mac Miller.
You like Yellow Wolf?
Not anymore.
Why not?
Because he's racist.
Because of the Royce situation?
Yeah, because I know the whole story.
Oh, damn. I know you can't tell it. Okay, I get it. But man,
this is not even that. It's not even that deep. Just like he's racist. So then you kind of, if you actually were a Yellow fan, you would have noticed how he stopped working with black people and then went to like this whole Mexican shit. And he's kind of stayed over there. But if you're a Yellow fan, go check it out.
All right. Well, what's your experience been like as a white rapper / executive in hip hop? Do you get the whole culture vulture label a lot?
Of course. It's just like, it's like, you know, that's like the go-to thing. Hey.
Why do you think that is? Like, you don't think that people can view that you have respect?
Because this is the internet. People don't know each other. They don't know anyone's stories. Like, you don't know if I'm going to show up at your fucking doorstep and blow your fucking head off. You don't know. So therefore, everyone's just more comfortable with talking whatever shit they want to talk and assuming there's going to be no real life ramifications. Now, I'm a fucking maniac. So if you really me the wrong way, please pray every night. None of these people get me to that level, though. I've been to the level and I've handled it. Ask Canibus. Remember, I'm the bone collector. So I am able to decipher this internet shit differently than the average man. Like, I'm not going to fucking lose my cool every time someone has something negative to say about me or a project or whatever. You know, and I think that's my best attribute: the thick skin, the tough skin, been there, done that. I've lived my street days. I'm still one foot in, one foot out. And but people use the culture vulture shit as just like the easy fallback, dude. But if you don't know someone, you have no idea how much I love the culture, how ingrained I am in the culture. Like, why the fuck? I purposely did that Guinness World Record and funded the school in Nigeria to avoid that shit. So I can say I actually built on the hip hop culture, the African American culture. What have you done for this culture? Where's your school? Where's your philanthropic works? I have every year treated hundreds to meals, paid low income family rents and mortgages. I've even gone as far as to buy people cars. And I'm not talking about my friends, like fucking, like single parent households. So it's like, it doesn't bother me. I know people are just talking from a point of ignorance, but that shit really does get under some people's skin.
So what do you think about the whole Lord Jamar guest argument?
I feel like for every 5 interviews Lord Jamar does, he should be required to drop at least an EP of rap material, because he's done like 400 interviews with no new songs. So I'm like, why do people even care what this guy has to say about shit? Why? Because you were cool 30 years ago? I remember I worked on the Lord Jamar, the 5% record. So thanks for allowing this guest to be part of your 5% record.
Wait. Okay. He has dropped some songs over the years still. I know he's working on an album right now, but you were a part of that album?
It's a Think Differently Baby Grand release. I was in the studio with Jamar and Pooba when they did On the Corner in the Streets. And then I was there when we did the joint with Ray Kwan, and I thought it was dumb as fuck that I think Ray didn't rap first, because on the original reference Ray raps first. And that album led to Chuck doing that Wu-Tang Shaolin Temple compilation thing. That's where they got the idea to do the fucking like 90-page book. It was from the Lord Jamar record.
What's with the lawsuit with Fat Beats about?
I can't talk about it.
You can't talk about it. All right.
But I can tell you this. The initial lawsuit, there's about to be another one. They have until tomorrow to give me what I asked for. Otherwise, there's going to be a new lawsuit that's huge. I did the deal with Stu Bangers and Capadonna for Third Chamber Grail Bars. In the deal, we agreed to take less upfront money to retain greater ownership and greater royalty of the record. It says in the contract, no third-party deals can be done without the express written consent of all parties, which would be, to say the least, me and Stu Bangers, me on behalf of myself and Capadonna, or me, Capadonna, and Stu. I find out that Stu does this deal with Fat Beat. And as soon as I find out about it, I write Fat Beat and I'm like, this can't happen without our express written consent. I later find out that no money had been spent yet. So it could have been as simple as just, oh, thank you, M80, for letting us know. We'll write a new contract. Now, that raised red flags for a few different reasons. One, Stu was entitled to keep 100% of the money up until a certain point because he was the investor in the record. So if I would have signed off on the Fat Beat deal, which of course I would have, like, I do business with Fat Beat. I've done many records with Fat Beat and never had issue. But I would have asked that we do the deal through my company with Fat Beats because I get 5% more on my records than Stu does in his deal. Makes sense, right? If I get 90% and you get 85, let's do it through Holy Theater Production. You can still have the advance money. You have to recoup. So those were some of the red flags in the onset. Then they thought I was kidding. They thought I was trying to be like Suge Knight and be like Stu's deal. And I'm like, that's not what I was doing at all. So then they keep proceeding with the album. And I tell them, yo, I told you motherfuckers like 6 months ago, you can't do this deal. I have to sign off on it. Here's my contract. And that's when they're like, holy shit, we thought you were like trying to bluff us. I'm like, I don't do that. Like, what the fuck would I bluff you for? Like a few grand? So then they sign this addendum that allows Fat Beats to still release the album. But remember, they're a licensee. I own the record with Capadonna, and Stu owns it. So if you break it down, me and Cap own the vocals. Stu owns the beat. Okay. We get 60% of the revenue. He gets 40. So they have to pay us 60% from $1, from sale one, because Stu already took enough money to recoup the agreed upon amount in our contract. I know this might sound like a lot, but I'm hopefully you follow me, and hopefully the people at home can follow me. They sent us the master after we agreed upon this addendum. And I took it to the studio to listen to it. And my engineer was like, this is fucking dog shit. So for those of you at home that make music, when you master a project, the decibel level of each song has to be the same. Okay? It's not mixing. The master is every song is on the same like dB plane. Stu's version was all over the fucking place. So I sent it to Cap, and Cap's throwing a fucking fit. And he's like, fix it. So we made our own version, which is the 24 karat gold version. We added Capadonna talking over the 2 instrumental interludes, and I added this Wu-Tang Clan bonus song. Now, can you hold on for a minute? I'm going to tell you something. I've never shown anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. This is something I took into court. Here's the bag. I have not touched it since the court date. Okay. So this is Gravitas from King Crooked and Bronze Nazareth. This is the version Fat Beats put out. It's this black cover. Boom, boom, boom. Now, in Fat Beats' contract with me, they have the exclusive right to manufacture and release. I did this version. Fat Beats was like, yo, that's dope as shit. Can we buy some of those from you and sell? So I sell them to Fat Beats at wholesale. You clearly see the difference. Here's the alternate cover. Here's Fat Beats. Okay, that's one example. Here is the Horseman from Fat Beat. It is just a digipack. It is flat, and these cost $7 a piece to make. This is the Horseman with the embroidered cover. It's embossed, so the letters rise up. They bought these from me, like 100 of these. Okay, again, it's against the contract of only having one version. This is the version of Canibus' One Step Closer to Infinity that Fat Beats released. And this is the alternate cover version I released. You could also buy this on the Fat Beats website, signed by Canibus. Just give you a couple more of these, and then I'll continue my point. Here is Kaiju from Canibus that you could buy on the Fat Beats website. And here was the variant cover that I made. So again, all these are examples of where we made alternate versions and Fat Beats supported them. Okay? So this is the version of the Capadonna album Fat Beats releases. One, it has a dozen fucking Wu-Tang W's on it, and they never got RZA's permission. Two, it has no credits in here. None. Like, that's the biggest thing. Remember, I said me and Priest fell out because of the credits of the record, not money, credit.
Right.
And the master was shit. So we made this version. Here's all the credits. There are no Wu-Tang W's on here because I wasn't going to pay RZA a license fee. And the CD is a superior 24 karat gold versus the regular CD version, and mastered to Capadonna's liking. So when we launched these, Fat Beats is like, we want the digital and we want physical. Like, we'll sell them all and account to you. So just like with the rest of these products, okay, all these I showed you and more. Okay, I will let you have the digital, and I'll give you 100 CDs, 30 signed and 70 for $3,000. and you pay the money to Capadonna, and then I have to recoup it. They said no. They're like, we want it for free or not at all. Okay, well, you made that choice, so you don't get it. Then I go and release it, and they were trying to say in court that because I did that, I violated the agreement, the terms of our addendum, and that's where we're stuck at right now. But there was a lot of other things said, and we made sure to keep track of all the lies. And so if Fat Beats doesn't write me back tomorrow with terms favorable to what me and so my clients that they also owe money to have asked for, then we're going to have to essentially have a new lawsuit that's for fraud. And in Joe's lawsuit, it said that I was dropped from the label because none of my records were profitable, but Fat Beats sold. And since then, they have new owners with new legal counsel. And guess what? Can you take a guess?
What?
Every single one of my records that's come out on Fat Beats is in profit. All my records are in profit. So you owe me that money. And there's a dozen other records that I have a profit interest in. And I need 3 years of those accountings and money. They want me to sign off that after they pay me, that I will agree to terminate my pre-existing contract. I have artists under contract whose careers have been held up for 2-3 years. In fact, a couple of these artists have died. And these are all things I'm willing to consider. And I know they know I'm writing the book, so they clearly don't want me shit talking them in the book. I can tell you this: the very first page of my book is something Joe, the former president of Fat Beats, said under oath in trial. It was too good not to put in the book. It's the greatest thing ever.
I feel like you play chess, bro.
Someone else said that to me, but the answer is not in this instance. I really, if Fat Beats owes Capadonna $20,000, at most I get like $4,000 of it. So in this potential new lawsuit, they owe money to Hus Kingpin. It's in writing. They owe money to Cap, even though they're going to claim they don't. They owe money to Crook, and they might owe money to Chino's family. And I said, if you do, because again, all the Reconstruction vinyls sold out, right? So you gave us $4,000. You did those vinyls. They all sold out. There's clearly money. I told them, just give that to the family. I don't even give a fuck who you give it to, but don't give it to me. They owe people money. And I just want my people to have the shit. So I literally, in this last email I sent 2 days ago, listed, if you give me this amount of money, I will pay all these people and I will sign off for all these people. So not only can I will not shit talk you, but they can never bring suit against you. I think they'd be moronic not to give me exactly what I asked for, because they clearly know I'm serious about suing. And they know that Joe lied and they know all this shit. So, but I'm going to let them dictate what happens. But my attorney, we spoke 2 days ago, is super gung ho about the new lawsuit.
You've had a close relationship with Crooked I, King Crooked, right?
He literally just texted me.
And the circle of bosses. How did that relationship come about?
It's also a really good part of my book. So, Crooked I is an example where I was hitting his manager, Chino, which he also manages Royce, for shows, features, the whole nine.
Wait, Chino is his solo manager or the Slaughterhouse manager?
Used to be the Slaughterhouse manager, Royce solo, and Crooked I solo. Okay? So I make Chino like $10,000 on the course of like 4 or 5 deals. And this last deal we do, I pay him because I need Crooked I to do a verse and a hook. And I pay him accordingly. Chino, a few days later, sends me back to Crooked I track, and it's just a verse. And I'm like, dude, I paid for a verse and a hook. And he said, oh, Crook doesn't do hooks. And I'm like, you didn't tell me that when you took my motherfucking money. I'm like, I need a portion of that money back to give back to the client. And he's like, no, like I already spent it. I'll just hook you up on the next deal. And that rubbed me insanely wrong. Okay. I mean, as it would anyway. Like that's literally textbook bad business. But there's hilarious shit in the Chino chapter as well. One time I got a girl to blow him has been for payment. That was funny. I was having Crook do a verse in one of our studio sessions, and Kino's like, "Well, that's enough money for Crook, but what about me?" And I'm like, "I didn't have any extra money, so I just had this girl I was with. I was like, come with us to the studio,' and we took him in the back room and just occupied him while Crook was doing work.
Wait a minute.
And maybe you'll get the job done one way or the other, brother."
You remember Kino was married to what's her name? That worked at the Source. She ended up. You know what I'm talking about? She was on the Math Hoffa podcast. What is her name?
Again, I don't watch this shit, dude. I live the shit. I watched every one of the segments you made about our shit. But okay, so Kino, after that, I called Crook and I told him what happened. I said, if it's okay with you, I would like to run all my business for you through you personally. He's like, that's totally fine with me. I understand. I'll talk to Kino about it.
Wait, M80.
Yeah.
Kim Osario. That's who he was married to.
I still don't know who that is.
What? All right, never mind. Go ahead.
Osario?
Kim Osario. She was a writer for the Source magazine. No? Oh.
Right. Maybe she could get a job with All Hip Hop and talk about how I'm not capable of making records that I come up with in my head. Hey. So literally, Kino shot himself in the foot in the most egregious manner possible, because I've literally gone on to make Crook $500,000 to $1 million. And I didn't have to fucking pay Kino a fucking dime.
Wow.
And Kino's chapter is more about, he starts off talking about that shit, but also the fact that he tried to prevent me from getting some work done with Royce. And I didn't have a direct line for Royce, and him and Crook fell out. And my friend Ty Ferris put me in touch with Royce, and he's like, wait, what? You need me to do what? For how much? Bro, send that money. I'll do that shit right now and knock it out in a day. But Kino had snaked Royce on a business deal, and apparently what I wanted Royce to do would have violated whatever Kino agreed to. But Kino, like, underhandedly took more money and didn't tell Royce about it. So I caused a bunch of internal friction between the two of them, and then they're both mad at me. Royce isn't mad, but he's just like, has to live with the fact that your fucking manager's a snake. But I already knew that shit. I mean, you snaked me for like an extra $750. Like, and that literally helped put hundreds of thousands of dollars on my table. Like, thanks. I actually, Kino, thank you. Thank you very much for doing that. And one time Kino was like, yo, I'm gonna fuck you up when I see you. And I was on my other phone. I was Googling and shit. I was like, oh, do you want me to come visit you at this address? And he's like, it was like his house. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you, matey? I'm like, stop fucking with me.
If you remember, Kino was the reason why the issue with Royce and Dr. Dre happened. You remember?
No.
Yeah, because Kino had said in a magazine or something like that he has witnessed Eminem sit Dr. Dre down like a pupil and stuff like that, and it caused a problem, and that's why Royce ended up leaving that camp the first time around.
Huh. Kino's cousin is Law the Dark Man.
Oh, so, really?
Law had to tell Kino, like, yo, don't fuck with M80. Like, you did some dumb shit, and you're laughing out at M80, but really it's because of the dumb shit you did. Stop doing that. And like, you can't, again, you're not gonna fuck me over. And I don't understand why these people think they can or even want to go down that path with me. Or you could do good business with me for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So literally, Kino stealing $750 from me helped me make at least an extra $250,000 in my lifetime. So really, I got nothing against the guy. I should send him a thank you card with like an edible arrangement.
So the relationship with Crooked eventually led to you guys working with Shady Records Camp, right? Like, because you ended up.
Well, I'm pretty sure that was already in place. Crook, when I started working with Crook in like 2008, and he was on Slaughterhouse was already a thing. Slaughterhouse was not signed to Shady then; they were signed to E1. But remember, the whole Eminem connection comes from Royce and Kino.
Because you ended up A&Ring a song on the Shady 15 album, right?
Psychopath Killer.
Oh, that one?
And I worked on Music to Be Murdered By on the song I Will.
Right.
You want to hear something crazy, though? Crooked Eye invited me to Detroit for what was supposed to be like one of the final sessions of Slaughterhouse, the Blasphemous album, the one that didn't come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he calls me the morning of, and he's like, "Yo, dude, I think like we're gonna change the date of the recording. Like, if you don't really want to be there, like, don't come. 'Cause I don't know who's gonna show up." So he kind of like convinced me into not going. And I'm like, all right. So I stayed at home, and then he called me throughout the week, and he's like, "Dude, like it's just me and Roy. Like Joel didn't come, Joe didn't come." So he said him and Royce did a whole album together. Um, But that was the beginning of the end for Slaughterhouse, because when half the group didn't show up, M's like, "Fuck this shit." So I was glad that I was not there to see that. You know, you don't want to be like the fucking fly on the wall. Like I've been in rooms where like I got picked on just for being there, for like being like, "Why are you here?" You know, and that would have been one of those situations.
Yeah, that's a sad situation, man. I love Slaughterhouse so much, and it was bad the way that it went out.
Crook asked me recently, like, "Do you think we could sell the album?" And I'm like, no, it would not be worth the legal headache.
The Glass House album?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you A&R'd the song "I Will" on Music to Be Murdered By, right? Which was
And that was by chance.
Minus Joe Budden, right?
Yeah.
But you guys did like 3 songs that session. What were the other songs?
I couldn't tell you because they weren't completed songs.
Oh, okay.
So like we did these in 2014, and then Music to Be Murdered By came out in like 2020.
Yeah.
Or 2021 or something.
They were saying that that's a really old song.
I mean, but new to the listener.
Right. Which was crazy too, because like the lyricism is so elite that even within that span of time, it's like you couldn't even tell. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, of course not. That's the beauty of it. Unless, like, for instance, I got this Pusha T verse that I own where he's like, "I'm 32-0. I am Mayweather, partner." But Mayweather now is like 50-52-0, you know? So if I release that verse now, someone will be like, "Oh, this is hella dated." Yeah. So unless you're making references that are like old school like that, or like, you know, like my president is black, my Lambo is blue, like, wait a minute. Like that kind of shit. So like no one on that song is doing that.
So did you get to see M record or anything like that? Or he held on to that song and did it, right?
No. I was not in the room when Eminem was recording. I don't think Eminem recorded anything that day. But here's the crazy thing. I saw an article yesterday about how Eminem has a score that it ranks him as a top like 10 or 30 Donkey Kong player in the world. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'll send it to you when we get finished this. While we were in the studio, my friend Saya was playing Donkey Kong, and the top 10 scores were like,
I know which I saw it. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. So the top 10 scores are MBM, Marsha Bruce Mathers. Saya beat Eminem's top score. And then M came out and saw it and stopped recording for like an hour, just like stopped working in the studio with Crooked Eye until he regained the top score.
Yo, that's crazy.
So when I read this article the other day where like Eminem's considered a top 10 or top 30 in the world, that means my friend Saya is as well. I'm like, holy shit, amazing.
What was your interaction like with him?
Okay, so Crooked Eye gave me a list of instructions. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. Definitely don't talk about anything Canibus, like, because there's no point. It would just upset him. Like, he doesn't even know Canibus is still alive, contrary to what Canibus believes. And remember, I just released Fiat Complete. So in our tour van, I got like mad Canibus posters, like, and I'm like posting them up as we're going from city to city and shit, in record stores and whatnot. And don't tell him you're the original Eminem, because my initials are M and M, you know?
Right.
So he comes, he's cool, he introduces himself, and we're all like laughing and, you know, smirking and talking. But throughout the course of the day, I just get more comfortable being there. I'm playing the video games, I'm talking to the Shady Records staff, taking photos in the studio and shit with my phone. And Eminem's behind me, and I don't realize he's behind me. And he's like, "Yo, how'd you just do that?" I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, "Do what?" And he's like, the photo's black and white. Like, how'd you do that? I was like, oh, it's a filter. Like, I took the photo and I like hit the buttons and I made it black and white. He's like, that's crazy. He's like, what are all those things? I'm like, they're apps for like applications. And click this one, I go to eBay, and click this one, go to YouTube. And like, I thought he was fucking with me at first, but Crook told me like, no, like at that time he didn't have a cell phone. And Crook told me the story like when he signed essentially Shady 2.0, which was Slaughterhouse and Yo Wolf, he got a phone, and Crook guys like I never had the opportunity to even call him. But on the third or fourth day, like Yo Wolf called his phone at like 3, 4 in the morning, all wasted. Like, I love you, white dog. You changed my life. And M's sober and like answers the call mid sleep, and then calls Paul the next morning like, yo, shut the phone off. Yeah. So M legit was like, as someone that doesn't actively use a phone or had a phone at that time, was asking me all these phone related questions, which I was like, sweet, this is my fucking end. So I'm going to keep talking until essentially I feel the need to stop or like I get the look to stop. Then we segued to talking about our favorite groups and like live performances. And we were talking about Outkast for a while. He was talking about his love for Drake and just all sorts of stuff. It was awesome. And I was grateful. And then of course, I give Crook the look like, please make sure we get photos because I didn't want to just act. And we got the pics, and there's versions where like me and Saya are cut out of it, and there's versions like that are just Em and Crook and stuff. But it was an awesome day. And then after that section, we went to Toledo and did the show there, and it was a sold out show in Toledo because my hometown, and everyone loved Crook because of the Changing Records shit, and it was great. That was like the best tour I think Crook had ever been on as a solo artist.
Did he know who you were?
Me? Eminem or Crook and I?
Eminem. Did Eminem know who you were?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Via Crook and I, like probably talking about me, but we had never physically met.
Got you. Did he live up to the hype as far as like, people being on this pedestal and like you said, never meet your hero, but like it wasn't disappointing at all or anything?
There was zero disappointment to me.
That's awesome, man.
I was not treated like a lesser than. We spoke. It was like legit conversation. Like we got to play his arcade games. We hang out with the staff. Like when we answered the door, I was expecting like an assistant to answer for us or something, and it was Royce the 5'9". And Royce like, hey, let me take you guys in, and then he left, and this was before he had heaven, and then went on to build his own shit.
So, is there any chance that you and Royce do work in the future? Everything okay with that, or you and Chino?
I don't dislike Royce. I think Royce has to not talk to me because of Chino's hatred for me. But I also don't think there's ever going to come a time where Royce would need me. Like I could, if I ever needed another verse from him, I'm sure I could call someone. I mean, I can call Royce direct now, but I could also call one of his friends, and the work would still get done. Like I've done that for Priest, and I even did that with Razcast when we weren't cool. Like, there's still money on the table. I'm gonna find out how I can get someone that knows you to get the work done, so you can make money and I can still make money.
But you guys don't need to be direct with each other.
Yeah,
got you. Okay.
Remember, we did the whole Horseman album. I didn't have to talk to Priest once. Like Priest tried to talk to me at the release of the beer, the Horseman beer party. And Krupp was like, don't fuck with that AD, dude. Like, just leave him alone.
So you helped A&R DMX's Exodus album too, right?
Correct.
What was your relationship like with DMX?
Fantastic. I wish the family wouldn't have deleted it, but the last ever social media post DMX made was for me and him.
Wow. What did he say?
We took all the leftover tour merch from the 20th anniversary of the Dark and Hell and Hot. Either the 20th or 25th anniversary, I don't remember. And we set up a website to sell it. And the week before, me, his manager, Pat, and X were on the line going over like you're going to account to us every time you make X. So like every time you make $2,500, you keep 5 and you forward 2. And so X made the post. And I'm used to, in the 6 years I worked with X, I'd call his phone or text, and he'll call or write back like 2 or 3 days later. But Pat would never take his manager would never take more than like half a day at best. So at first, after we launched the site and I have the first $2,000 for them, Pat's not answering and X is not answering, but I'm not thinking anything's wrong with X. I'm thinking something very wrong with Pat because he's never in 6 years taken more than 12 hours to hit me back. DMX and Wu-Tang Clan had the same publicist at that time. And I reached out to him and he told me that he talked to Pat. And the issue was not Pat. Like, tell him, 80, I'm okay, but something seriously wrong with X. That was the beginning of the end.
Wow. Do you have a favorite DMX memory that you can share with us?
I got tons of them, but my favorite is so funny, dude. I think I put this in the book as well in the DMX chapter. We were working in the studio in Indianapolis, and we're working on like 2 or 3 different songs, and we'd shoot a video like later, and we did a concert and stuff like that. But DMX is writing, and he's sitting at like a little like foldable table with a chair, and this ant starts walking across his notepad, and X is like, "Where does that come from?" Like, well, it's like there's no insects in the fucking studio, and he looks at the ant. And he's like, "I'm gonna take you home. You're gonna be a New York ant. You my dog, ant." And it's just so funny, like him saying, "Yo, ant, you my dog." And he takes a cellophane off his cigarette, and he's getting ready to pick the ant up and put it into the cellophane. Like he's legit. He's gonna be in India for like 3 days, but he's gonna preserve this ant and then take it across America to New York, where the ant's gonna live. And before he can put it in the cellophane, his manager like slaps his hand and takes a lighter and kills the ant. And DMX is sitting at the table and he's like, "No! Oh my God, why? Oh, ant, no!" And by the way, no one would believe the story except for the fact that we have it on video. We have the video of this now. Yeah, I think I posted it like 2 years ago or something, but I can find it. That's one of my favorite stories.
You had did the song what, bath salts?
Bath salts. And that was that's another thing that's by chance. And that would have never happened had I not done the Ghostface album with Cleopatra Records, X-Ray Records, to find out that that's who you had to license that DMX verse through because of these Rhodes Art people. Not Rhodes Art, it's some fucking mafia company that did that Redemption of the Dog album. But that's an example that actually helped my company and my licensing business because the Jay-Z verse is new, the Nas verse is new. And instead of having DMX record a brand new verse, they used a licensed DMX verse on a song that was nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah, that was crazy to have all 3 of them on a record together, man.
Yeah.
Was DMX alive at the time?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why that shit's so crazy. You could have had DMX do a brand new verse, but you felt like Swift Beats loved that verse so much, even though it was you decided to use that. DMX was alive. He could have done a new verse.
Mm. Where were you when you found out that he had passed away?
Well, the answer is LA. The answer would be in LA the whole time. But there was 3 or 4 times he was quote unquote dead and then brought back to life. The family, like he really died and they bring him back to life a couple times. And I got people yelled at me because they thought I was the first one to announce that he died before the family. And I'm like, no, here's members of the family that announced it. Here's members of the Rough Riders that announced it. So then the heat was taken off me. But they purposely put him back on the ventilators so his death date could be like numerically significant.
Got you. And what was your reaction when you found out?
I cried for weeks, but the only solace was knowing I had to work through it for the family. Like apparently all the family's bank accounts were frozen and stuff, and like I had to funnel money from like LA to New York and like just make sure they were good. I think I spent close to like $100,000.
Hey, matey, why do people give you so much shit, man? It seems like behind the scenes you do a lot of solid stuff, bro.
It's the same answer. I mean, I'm like, especially as a white guy, I'm living essentially like every white hip hop lover's dream. Everyone that ever wanted to be part of the music world, the rap world. You know, I was successful as an artist, as many people want to make fun of my rap career. Like, I can still out rap the majority of rappers. I had full of my own album chart. I toured. I did, whatever. So I think that's really it. Like, without trying to be conceited and cocky about it, it's just because I'm living the dream. And the more people get to know me, they realize like I'm not just some wigger. Like, I've got that label too. That label came as all things the culture vulture. I'm literally just a fucking dude. You know,
Right.
like I'm able to separate my like how I gotta act and be in my job versus how I need to be in my home. And I'm responsible and I'm well educated, and it's like, I'm not a pushover. And that goes to show with time. I mean, the majority of my book is people that thought they were going to take advantage of me early on in my career that then had to accept the fact that now I'm a player and had to come back and kick my ass.
Who else did you fight that's a rapper?
No one.
Nobody else?
Uh-uh.
Okay, I thought that you had like way more stories that you was beating up this
No.
rapper or that rapper.
No. I mean, I've been in a lot of fist fights. Probably 20, 30 in my day, which is like acceptable. It's not like I'm out here like looking to fucking, like fuck dudes up. It's not like I'm some gang shit. But no, as far as rappers, I've only thrown hands with a couple.
How did the relationship with Tech N9ne come about?
Awesome question. I moved back to Indianapolis in 2008, and I started doing all these concert productions because in New York, when I lived in New York, every night of the week, there's something going on. When I lived in San Francisco, same shit. When I go visit LA, same shit. But the Midwest never had that kind of, entertainment background. It's like you could have cool shit happening on the weekend, but it's like, what about the rest of the days of the week? So I started reaching out to all the artists I worked with, like Canibus, Keith Murray, Rez from Black Sheep, Diggable Planets. I don't know if I already said Priest and Sea Ray's Walls and things like that. It would bring them through Indianapolis, and then from the indie shows would span to bigger shit. Like then we'd do like Indy, and then we'd do like Cincinnati, Ohio, and Detroit, Michigan, and one date would become three, and three would become five, and then I started booking these like 10, 12 day tour runs, and I would use the same venues and promoters for all the shit. Well, backstage at Rock the Bell 2009 or 8 or 9. This is when I also asked MC Supernatural for his blessing for me to break the Guinness World Record, and I write about the book. He gave me the blessing, but probably thought like, okay, white guy, sure, like, you have my blessing. Oh, good luck. So, but I talked to Tech N9ne. I said, why is it that you never come to Indy? Like, I heard stories that you were banned from performing here, which Indy was big on weirdo shit like that. Like, there's a famous story of someone dying during the 98 or 97 Rage Against the Machine Wu-Tang tour, but the person died during Rage Against the Machine set. But because Method Man tried to incite a riot earlier in the night, they blamed Wu-Tang. And Wu-Tang was banned from playing in Indy for like 20 years.
Wow.
Tech said, that's not true. I'm not banned. No promoters have the balls to bring it. And then here's a medium like in 08, 09. So, I got the balls, Tech N9ne. Hey, yeah. Baby, I don't fuck with you, man. Take my fucking word for it. That's probably how I talk. And then it happened. I produced every Tech N9ne concert in Indiana and surrounding states for till 2017. So 8 years. Then when I moved to LA in 2012, 2013 and started working more and more closely with RBC, that's when RBC was also the infrastructure for Strange Music. So now I'm already in with Tech. I'm the one that's making them hundreds of thousands of dollars for these shows. And so me coming over to get the opportunity to work on some of the records was a no-brainer.
Wow.
That's a funny story with Ritz, though. Ritz is playing in Toledo. I live in LA at the time. I went on a business trip with the former VP at RBC. And he's playing me the Ritz album, What the fuck's it called? It had In My Zone on it. You know what album I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. Well, it's the one that has the famous song In My Zone with Mike Posner and B.O.B. and shit. Then Ritz, so the album's not out yet. Ritz is doing a show in Toledo. And I figures he knows who I am. Like, I produced myself several Ritz concerts and Yellow Wolf concerts in Indy prior to this. And I'm telling Ritz, hey, I heard your new album last week. And I know you're not like asking me about it, but I got some notes if you want to talk to him, like talk about it. And he's like, okay, sure. I'm going over like, yeah, on this song where you won't like trade the truth or you want Twister or something like I really think Crooked I would be good here. And if you want on this joint, like, but I like how you sequenced it. And instead of Rick saying to me, like, who the fuck are you? Or how do you know all this? My album's not out yet. He goes and calls Travis and Strange and throws a fit like, yo, this fucking random white dude is talking to me about my fucking record this time. Did you leak it? And then Travis has to tell him about 1080. He worked at RBC. And, then of course the RBC people get yelled at. They have to yell at me. And it was just like a fucking thing. And, me and Rich laugh about it now, but it's like, that's the stigma about the Midwest. It's like no one important is going to be there. So you don't expect anyone to want to talk to you about important shit. But they expect that when they're in your Los Angeles, when you're in New York. Who the fuck in Toledo, Ohio would have heard his album yet?
Right.
It was one of those just like misunderstandings, but I almost got fired over it just from hearing the fucking record.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you've been to the Strange Music like headquarters and everything?
I have.
I hear it's just amazing what the amount of merch that they have.
The last time I was there, we were going over this album, this compilation Forever MC, Tech's on a couple songs, and there was a possibility that Strange Music would sign it because Tech N9ne does those collabo albums, but this was pitched as like Tech N9ne and his A-list celebrity friends. Instead of just all the Strange Music dudes, you got Wu-Tang Clan, you got Lupe Fiasco, you got Talib Kweli, like the list goes on. Snoop, like it would have been big if we could have built it that way. And I remember when I was leaving, I was like, "What are you about to do?" And Tech's like, "We were going to have this conference call with Nicki Minaj." Try to get her on a record, and it never happened. But they ended up getting, it was like Snow the product, and then Snow got this like affinity for one another and do all these records. I'm personally not a Snow the product fan.
Why not?
Yeah, but no, she stole money from C-Mob. C-Mob did the album with Corrupt, and C-Mob's very close to Tech N9ne. And instead of just like, again, this is accountability. Instead of just taking accountability for it, said that it was her ex-girlfriend that was running her Instagram and she was just stealing money from people, stating that she was collecting money for Snow features. And Snow's like, I don't even do features. And she never gave C-Mob the money back. And I just don't respect bad business like that, dude.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So I don't give a fuck if you're the illest MC of all time. Like, if you're bad business, chances are you're a bad person. You have bad fucking roots. And go be a fucking dude. My goal is to fucking be able to do business for a lifetime. So unless I can steal $1 million from you or some shit, like trust me, everyone has a price. I witnessed Dreddy Kruger steal from GZA, and that was his best friend. And GZA didn't believe me for years until he found out for himself that I was telling the truth. But like, everyone set the price for themselves. What would you do to fucking betray your best friend? I'm just not one of those people.
All right. Well, you got a book coming out later this year, right? November. You don't want to go into that story, right? With the stealing?
From who?
GZA.
No, because that's not in the book. I already wrote the Dreddy chapter. I don't think I wrote that in there either. Because I just wrote about, like, that's essentially like GZA's story to tell. But I mean, I was there for that. But my story with Dreddy is about how, Baby Grand was essentially done working with him. They were just fed up with him. And they offered me $100,000 to turn in Wu-Tang Indie Culture 2, Almighty Original Sin, and the Bronze Nazareth sophomore album. And I, thinking I was doing the right thing, called Dreddy and told him, hey, this is what Baby Grant offered me, and I'll give you like 10 grand just so I can look out for you. And instead of being like thankful for it, he was like, how dare they backdoor me to get to you? And I'm master, you're my student. You can never like be better than me and make these records happen. And that was our fallout. And, for years after he tried to like extort me as I would like make more and more records and become more successful. And I would just continuously laugh him off. He was the first one to tell me like, you're never welcome back in New York. And then for years I'd go back to New York and like literally post where I was at in real time. Like, or I'm leaving this place and I'm about to go to this place. Like, so Dreddy, if you're listening, like, fuck you, dude. And I literally watched Dreddy go from a fucking like respected music executive to a fucking crackhead. So I literally was there when he lied to Kill Priest about his mom dying. The priest would give him $40 so he could buy drugs.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. And then Priest saw him the next time he was in New York. He's like, I'm sorry about your mom. Dre's like, what are you talking about? Like, your mom died. He's like, my mom's alive. What are you talking about? He's like, dude, you told me your mom died. I give you $40. And Dre's like, no, you misread that. I said my girl's mom. And Priest like goes back into the text. He's like, at nowhere did you say your girl's mom. Like, he's like, why the fuck would I care if your girl's mom died? I don't even know your bit.
Right. So you got a book coming out November 3rd?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's called 100 Ways I've Almost Died While Working the Rap Industry.
Working the rap industry. Based on a fuck ton of true stories.
All right. Can you tell us why you were inspired to write the book and what people can expect?
I was inspired to write it because everyone in rap is always so fucking tough. Everyone's got to be like the fucking tough guy, This book, you're going to read it first and foremost and laugh. Like, you get to see what, like, all my behind the scenes shit as I'm making these records, dealing with these people and what goes on behind the business and how difficult people have tried to make my life, for better or worse. But you're also going to be like, we get to see the vulnerable side of M80, like, because some of these stories make him look like a fucking bitch. Like, some of these, like, definitely don't make him look like the knight in shining armor, but keep reading and be like, damn, M80 really, like, flipped the script. And, these are the stories I've loved the most. Like, you're going to read a story about, I don't even want to say, there's so many good fucking stories, dude. Like, it's essentially like 100 different stories.
Wow.
That's what it is. So the book, by the way, this isn't a book, unless you just want to buy it to have it. I recommend you actually be able to know how to read, because this book's like 400 pages. And it's hilarious. It's going to be a long read, but it's going to be one of those where you might like, I'm going to read a chapter every night, or maybe a couple or whatever. Because something like, for instance, like Razcast, C. Ray's Walls, Canibus, Kill Priest, Pete Rock, these are long chapters. Okay. Like, they take me like 9 hours to write. But then you got shit tons of like smaller chapters like E12 and Benny the Butcher and Timbo King and Vinny Paz and the Army of Pharaohs and this kind of shit. You could read like 5 or 6 of those in a night. Those take me like 3 or 4 hours. So I keep a log of every day I'm writing and how long and what I'm accomplishing. But it's taking me on average like 9 hours to write one of these long chapters and like 3 or 4 hours to write smaller chapters. So times 100 stories, I'm definitely logging over 500 hours here.
Are you going to do an audiobook version where you're reading
Eventually, yeah. Eventually, because like the voices will be hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. That would be really crazy because it'd be a different experience.
I wrote this chapter. It's a Planet Asia chapter where literally I got Planet Asia a record deal for his Black Belt Theater album because Canibus was a moron. This label wanted me to sign one local artist from Indiana and one of my like national dudes. And first person I called was Canibus. I'm like, dude, I just got this A&R position at this label, and I got like 20 G's. So if you got an unreleased album, and he's like, you're not my master, and I won't be your slave. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I have a fucking check for you. Like, and I've already brokered hella record deals for you. So he clearly doesn't understand like what I'm trying to tell him. So like he goes on his fucking slave master rant to the point where I just hang up. And then I call Asia, and Asia answers. I said, yo, dude, I just got this job. I got 20 grand. He's like, book me a flight. I'll be there tomorrow.
Wow.
Canibus, dumb. Smart, dumb motherfucker. So Asia is the first time I ever we did 3 deals for the Black Belt Theater album. We had a deal with Wandering Work, with Daddy Real Entertainment, and then this company in Nature Sounds with distribution. And then I brokered the tour through another company. So that day, that let me have the experience to do these bigger deals like the Ghostface deal, the Rakim deal, where there's multiple entities involved.
All right, M80, I just want to thank you for your time, man. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we go ahead and wrap it up?
I want to acknowledge that this year is the 10th anniversary of Sean Price's passing. He passed in August of 2015. So, my love goes out to Sean's family and Bernadette and, everyone in the Duck Down crew. I want to thank all the friends and family and supporters of Chino XL for being a nice guiding light and picking up and, having my back in rooms where I'm not able to be in and just doing supportive things for his youngest daughter. And thank you as always for being there to support records that I put my blood, sweat, and tears into and for the, greater good of hip hop. And you are appreciated.
Appreciate you, M80.